Title was won in 1952 by Alberto Ascari. Considered one of F1's most dominant and best-loved champions, he drove the iconic Ferrari 500 and defended his title the year after. It was Juan Manuel Fangio in his Ferrari 250 who secured the team's next driver's title in 1956. Remember, he was world champion 5 times with 4 different teams. Mike Hawthorne, Phil Hill and John Surtees also won titles for Ferrari in the 50s and 60s, and the cars back then were beautiful, and they even sounded great, didn't they? Anyway, Ferrari went 11 years without winning a title until Niki Lauda won in 1975 in the iconic 312T. Throughout much of the 80s and 90s, though, Ferrari looked like they'd never go all the way again. Le Professeur Alain Prost came pretty close in 1990, but lost out to his bitter rival and former teammate at McLaren, Ayrton Senna. It was only when John Todt recruited a swathe of staff from outside of Italy, including Michael Schumacher, that the glory days returned 21 years after their last driver's title. The turn of the century saw the prancing horse sprint to an unprecedented 5 consecutive championship doubles. And after Schumacher left, Kimi Raikkonen reclaimed the driver's title immediately. But despite employing 1,500 people, the Iceman remains the last Ferrari world champion. So, 16 constructors' titles, 7 more than McLaren, and 15 drivers' titles, 4 more than, again, McLaren. Ferrari are truly Formula One's top team. Forza Ferrari.
A very, very good morning. It is just gone 5:03. It's Friday, August the 22nd. Happy Friday morning. It is nearly the weekend. You are listening to the Early Breakfast Show with Adrian Flux. It's insurance for the individual. You can find out more at adrianflux.co.uk. I'm Sam Ellard. We've got a packed hour of sports news and talking points for you as we build up the talkSPORT breakfast at 6 with Big Al and Gabby Bonlahor on the way over the next hour. Good morning, Nick Ellaby.
Yeah, morning, Sam. No Ezra, no problem. Palace win in the Conference League playoff against Fredrikstad, but all the talk is about that man heading to Arsenal, all the fallout on the way. We're building up to the second weekend of Premier League season. It starts live tonight on talkSPORT. West Ham host Chelsea in a tasty London derby. We'll bring you all the latest transfer news. And what next for Spurs after they miss out on Ezra? And we'll look at the front and back pages of today's papers this Friday morning.
Good stuff. I like it, Nick Ellaby, when you give an opinion whilst doing the weather.
I think weather chat is what brings this nation together.
It's one of the most British things of all time, isn't it?
But
to
also,
discuss the weather.
It's been really warm this summer.
Sure.
Very dry, but literally, came out the door and I was like, hang on a minute, it's freezing.
Yeah.
It was genuinely cold.
Yeah.
Thank God I brought my tracksuit top. Usually I come out just a shirt on.
There we go. More regular fashion updates from Nick Ellaby throughout the course of the show.
If you are heading out on a dog walk this morning, just pop a jacket on because it is chilly.
Good. Anything else?
Well, we can talk about the football if you want to, but that's your job, isn't it?
This is the Early Sports Breakfast on talkSPORT, and we're with Adrian Flux, insurance for the individual. You can find out more at adrianflux.co.uk. So at 5:04, we'll now take a look at what's made the back pages of today's newspapers. Pot shot back of the Mirror. Graham Potter has insisted West Ham cannot spend their way out of trouble, and even splashing £200 million does not guarantee success. The Hammers made an unhappy start to the season with a 3-0 defeat at Sunderland, and they host Chelsea tonight on the back of a frustrating summer transfer window. Potter says spending big is no silver bullet solution. What else have we got for you on the back of The Guardian? I think we thought this was going to happen, but the Guardian confirming it. Kulusevski out until January in latest blow for Tottenham. The attacking midfielder underwent knee surgery in mid-May, and although the injury was serious, the extent of the layoff he faces has been unclear. But the Guardian say Kulusevski won't play again this season until January. Of course, we know they missed out on Eze, and we of course know as well that James Maddison is unlikely to play for the majority of the season. Telegraph Sport, Eze's Arsenal debut on hold. Eberechi Eze will complete a £60 million move to Arsenal in the next 24 hours after being denied an emotional farewell at Palace last night. He's scheduled to undergo a medical with Arsenal today ahead of that move, but will not be registered in time for the home game against Leeds tomorrow. Again, Eze calls in sick. Back of the Mail, lots of back pages talking about Eze once again. They say on the Mail this morning, Palace boss Oliver Glasner last night revealed Eberechi Eze called in sick ahead of the club's first European game in their history, set to join the Gunners after they hijacked the Spurs move, and he didn't play last night for Crystal Palace. But that didn't matter for Palace last night because on the field they won their game by a 1-0. The end is the headline on the back of the Sun. Dan King writing this morning, Chelsea manager Enzo Maresca would rather risk a striker crisis than keep unhappy pair Nicholas Jackson and Christopher Nkunku. The one-way forwards have been left out of the Blue squad for tonight's Prem trip to West Ham, despite both being fit. Those are some of the back page headlines this Friday morning. But to the game last night, it was supposed to be a celebration, but Palace's first game in Europe didn't feel like a party, or not like it should have been anyway. Demoted to the Conference League and facing a raid on their best players. There was no Eberechi Eze, but Palace did manage to win by a 0-0. Ian Abrahams was at Selhurst Park and watching for talkSPORT.
Not a big win, but a win's a win. Palace 1, Fredrikstad FK 0. So first ever game in proper European competition for Palace, and they win it thanks to Jean-Philippe Mateta's second half goal. It was a long throw that took 2 volleys from Will Hughes. The second one purposely diverted by the head of Mateta beyond the goalkeeper and into the back of the net. Mateta hit the post in the first half. There were numerous chances for Palace to extend their lead before and after the goal, but the precariousness of a 1-goal advantage shown right at the end when Henrik Skovvold went through and had a shot which was only just wide of Dean Henderson's far post. No Eberechi Eze, not exactly no problem, but life after Eze begins with a Palace win in Europe. Crystal Palace 1, Fredrikstad 0.
Yeah, so Palace did win, but as you could imagine, all of the talk before and after the game was about Eze. He withdrew from Palace's team ahead of the victory after calling in sick as he closes in on that move to Arsenal. Glasner had said at his pre-match press conference Eze would start, but after he now admits Eberechi Eze has probably played his last game in a Palace shirt. And if Mark Gahey goes, Glasner says he'll have to put his boots on and play himself. Here's Glasner speaking with the Moose.
First game in Europe, first win. So yes, of course, we when you can wish something, but it's European competition. Yeah, we wanted to score more goals. I think we had the opportunities for scoring more goals, but we missed hitting the post twice, and then it's important, yeah, to score this goal. This is what we did. So we are on track.
Eberechi Eze, if he's played for Palace for the last time, are you now sad to see him go?
I think so. Yes, I think he won't play for Palace anymore.
And obviously it looks like he's going to go to Arsenal. How much of the squad, or how much do you now need to invest the money you're going to get from him in the squad? Because it looked tonight like that was about all you had.
Yes, it's just telling you facts. We had today with 17 on-field players, Rio Cardins from Academy. We had 2 players on the bench. We told them already that they should leave. That means we have 14. And that's it. So no injured player will come back, so we can't register anyone for the second leg, and it's we have to act. Everybody knows this, and I hope we will do it.
I'm no body language expert or psychologist, but he sounds a little bit like deflated already. And what a shame, isn't it, when you think of the incredible work that Glasner's done, taking Palace to Europe, taking Palace to their, that incredible FA Cup victory towards the end of last season. He sounds like a man that is immediately on the back foot at the start of this season. His press conference, so he spoke with radio, they ended his presser. He said it's not surprising that Eze has left. honestly, it's not surprising because 5 days earlier, we couldn't have done anything if he leaves. We knew that the chances were very high that this will happen. And honestly, again, I say it like this. We missed the chance to replace him early enough. That's completely our fault and nobody else's. So it felt like even before Eze left and even before possibly Mike Gahey left, looking at Palace's team having to juggle European football, they do look a little bit light, and it's a real shame given the great work that Glasner's done and given that Oliver Glasner is an outstanding coach, that, you know, the places that, and it hasn't been put in place for Oliver Glasner to really now to be able to build and push on and try and take the club forward. And now it looks like, if anything, they're going to go back with Eze leaving. Palace fans, how are you feeling all about this? 03717 223344 if you want to come on and have your say. And by the way, for Palace this weekend, guess who's up next? The team, of course, that took their place in the Europa League, Nottingham Forest. That was last night. Meanwhile, tonight on talkSPORT, we've got live and exclusive coverage of West Ham v Chelsea. Nicholas Jackson and Christopher Nkunku are fit, but have been left out of Chelsea's squad completely. Enzo Maresca has given both forwards the green light to leave the club.
We see if they're going to be here, they're going to be with us. In case they are not here, that means that they found a solution. And at the end, I think it's always better if they can find a solution, because I think they're going to be more happy and the club the same.
Here at talkSPORT, we understand Aston Villa have made Nicholas Jackson their priority signing for the remainder of the window. Unai Emery worked with Jackson at Villarreal and is keen to be reunited with the striker. AC Milan and Bayern Munich could also make a late bid. Former Chelsea defender, talkSPORT's Scott's Minto, he doesn't want Jackson to leave the club.
In terms of the squad, I personally would like to keep Nicholas Jackson. It looks like he's off. You know, he's not going to be involved. I always think when you've got one striker up front, you always need to think one person's going to be injured and then you need another option off the bench. So if we get rid of Nicholas Jackson, you know, if Delap suddenly gets injured, then you're left with Joao Pedro. Last season, Nicholas Jackson got injured and Pedro Neto was playing up front.
Yeah. So that's Chelsea. They started their season on Sunday with a draw at home to Crystal Palace. Chelsea's opponents tonight really need, well, probably a point to get going, and also some new players in West Ham. They were really poor on Saturday, weren't they? Losing 3-0 against Sunderland, newly promoted to the Premier League. Lots of people, lots of pundits tipping them to struggle. They finished last season in really bad form. It was 1 win in 8. The West Ham manager, Graham Potter, says PSR rules are restricting who they can and cannot buy.
Well, I think the profile is one that we think about privately, to be honest, because I think that helps us in the market. We have to try to find the right players always, as I repeat. It's about the right player, the right profile, the right person, always. And that isn't easy to do, especially when you've got restrictions you have because of PSR. Every club has. As I said last week, it's not like we can go for Isak. We have a certain market and that's fine. So our job is to try to look for players that can improve us externally, and at the same time look for players and help the players we have here. Clearly we have to do that, and that's where my focus is on.
Yeah, they look short, don't they, West Ham? They really struggled towards the end of last season. I don't think they've done anywhere near enough in this transfer window to kind of ease any fears that West Ham fans might have that it could be another pretty tough season. They've been linked with the Southampton midfielder Mateus Fernandes. They do look a little bit like creativity going forward. It feels like watching West Ham towards the end of last season and in that game against Sunderland that if it's not Jared Bowen doing something, making something happen, they're not going to create enough chances. They're not going to score enough goals. They lost away at Sunderland last weekend. Tonight, West Ham Chelsea is a Premier League talkSPORT exclusive commentary from Jim Proudfoot and the former Liverpool midfielder Danny Murphy. That's just the start of a massive weekend of football commentaries across the talkSPORT network. Game in the Championship. Also this evening on talkSPORT 2, Derby Bristol City, and tomorrow on talkSPORT, Man City Spurs is the 12:30 game. While from 3 o'clock, talkSPORT will of course take you around the grounds up and down the country. Happy Friday morning. It's just coming up to 5:15 on Friday, August the 22nd. And when we come back on the talkSPORT Early Breakfast, we'll take a deeper dive into what's made this morning's back pages. Yeah, very good morning. I'm Sam Ellard, and this is the Early Sports Breakfast. We're with Adrian Flux. You can get a tailor-made quote for your commercial vehicle. Search Adrian Flux Insurance for the individual. Alan Brazil back on breakfast this Friday morning, and alongside him is the Aston Villa legend Gabby Agbonlahor. Don't forget you can listen to all of our stations on the talkSPORT app. If you want some music, Virgin Radio is there. There's even a Virgin Radio Britpop station on the app. Or for news, you can find Talk and Times Radio. Just swipe even between our stations. There is something there for absolutely everyone. So sporting headlines you're waking up to this Friday morning. Esther Sokler headed in a late equaliser for Aberdeen as they salvaged a 2-2 draw at home to 10-man FCSB in the first leg of their Europa League playoff. The hosts had trailed 2-0 at Pittodrie. World Golf #1, Scotty Scheffler is just 2 shots off the pace after the first round of the season-ending Tour Championship. He's on 7 under par behind fellow American Russell Henley, Olympic silver medalist Tommy Fleetwood, and Scotland's Robert McIntyre among a group of players a shot further back. Rory McIlroy's tied for 8th on 4 under in Atlanta. And in the 100 in the world of cricket, Sam Curran broke the competition record for most sixes in a 5-ball set. He smashed Sam Cooke for 32 in one set. He and Jordan Cox both scored 50s as the Oval Invincibles pulled off a thrilling run chase to beat the Trent Rockets. The defending champions reached their move target of 172 runs with 11 balls to spare. For more on all the day's big sporting stories, you know where to go. talksport.com. Now, plenty of managers speaking yesterday with the media and their press conferences, including Arne Slot ahead of what should be a tasty Alexander Isak derby on Monday. Liverpool go to Newcastle. Arne Slot's again dodged a question about whether Liverpool are still chasing Isak before the window closes.
No, I don't think they're a club of troubles. They had a very good start of the season against Villa. Good game for them. I think they were able to get more out of the game than the 1 point they got. So it's not only difficult, or it's mainly difficult because of the players they are having there, not only because of the fans. But the atmosphere is great, like it is at Anfield. So we are used to a certain environment. But St James's Park is, if I just remember last season, where it was in an evening game, by the way, as well, the atmosphere was amazing. And it will be the same. But why is the atmosphere amazing? Because the players can perform. They can add to the atmosphere by being as intense as they were, bringing the quality as they brought in that game. So that's going to be the challenge. The challenge is of course also playing in a stadium where the fans will be there for the home team. And that always helps every home team. I can tell you about us. So the last 15 to 20 minutes at Anfield, it wasn't a coincidence that we scored twice because the fans helped us.
Newcastle vs Liverpool is live on talkSPORT on Monday night. Tomorrow lunchtime, we've got Man City v Spurs. There's been some transfer speculation about Spurs going after Aston Villa's Morgan Rogers, of course, missing out on Eze to Arsenal. Our transfer correspondent Ben Jacobs says Rogers to Spurs sounds like a pipe dream for Thomas Frank.
Yeah, I think Morgan Rogers is a dream target for Tottenham, and if he becomes available for Chelsea and for several other clubs around the world, but it's a huge if, especially this late in the window. And I sense from Aston Villa's perspective that they're okay as far as PSR is concerned. Maybe not so healthy they can go out there and spend 70, 100 million in the last 10 days of the window, but I also think they're in a strong enough position for the last financial year that's closed and this current financial year that they won't need to cash in on Morgan Rogers. And even if they chose to, I think that the volume of interest and the price would not necessarily make Tottenham front runners. If anything, my read on the situation is everyone thinks Chelsea are going to do Alejandro Garnacho and Xavi Simons, and with quite some substance. But in a hypothetical where Rodgers became available, Aston Villa might take Nico Jackson, and I'd be staggered if Chelsea don't also ask the question about Morgan Rogers, because if anything, he's above Xavi Simons in their list, but he's a dream, whereas Xavi Simons might well prove to be the reality. So I think the door is probably shut on anybody getting Rodgers between now and the end of the window. But if he does become available, Spurs will not be the only club to explore that deal.
Yeah, I'll bring in talkSPORT's Nick Ellaby at 5:22 because he's here to do some back page headlines, and Morgan Rogers is in the back pages today. I mean, a pipe dream feels generous. I mean, I know that people think there's some worries with Villa and PSR, but there is absolutely no chance Aston Villa sell Morgan Rogers. I mean, for me, clearly, he's their best player, the most creative player. And it's been a summer at Villa where they probably haven't, with PSR restrictions, been able to sort of improve the squad and bring in as many players as they probably would have liked to try and really push on and close the gap on kind of the top three. So, in mid to late August, to sell Morgan Rogers, their best player, no matter what fee comes in, I say that's almost impossible to happen. It'd be crazy.
Absolutely. I mean, Ben Jacobs saying there does sound unlikely. I did read recently that, Villa were looking at possibly picking up Marco Asensio from PSG, who they had on loan last season, quality Champions League quality player. I mean, I think they're still looking at that deal. I think he did pretty well. But, Morgan Rogers, unbelievable. And is a good picture of him with Jude Bellingham here in the back of the Times, an interview with him as well. He's that kind of muscular number 10. We're seeing these big players everywhere at the moment. It does seem like the Premier League players are getting even bigger, and Morgan Rogers is an example of one of those 10s like Bellingham who can take contact.
Technically good, but also physically really strong, isn't he? Like, he can carry the ball and take bumps. We
don't seem to see so many of those sort of little playmakers anymore, certainly not in the Premier League. And then we've got a great interview in the back of the Times with Morgan Rogers from Charlotte Dunker after he won the prestigious PFA Young Player of the Year award. But what he's talking about in this interview is how his time in the lower leagues actually made him into the player that he is. I mean, he had loan spells, I think, with Lincoln, Bournemouth, Blackpool, then to Middlesbrough, and actually it's only 579 days since his last game for Middlesbrough, but he's now, looking at, as you say, one of Villa's top players. And he told Charlotte Dunker, nobody could have written what happened to me in the last 12 months, reflecting on this career-defining year. And then, those games in League One and in the Championship, he said, that really helped me to become the player who I am. It's the football in those leagues is obviously not the same as academy football. It's a lot more physical. And he's
but probably imagine, so it's quite off there, really important in terms of, because I think if you look at kind of the England squads at the moment, there are so many players that have come from the lower leagues or certainly at least played in the Championship.
Absolutely.
And you think physically, it probably puts them in such a good place when they come to the Premier League or make their international debut. They've had the kicks, they've had the pushes around in the lower leagues to get them physically ready for the sort of the demands and the stresses of being at the absolute very top.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, he's a big lad, isn't he, Morgan Rogers? But he's just talking about that experience down at the bottom. He said he had to use his strengths in a different way and also learn about rejection. I mean, he got left out by Scott Parker at Bournemouth, I think, halfway through the season, didn't play again in the second half of that season when he was at Bournemouth. So also kind of learning to deal with those knocks. And also England fans, this is what we want to hear. After being picked by Thomas Tuchel in his squad, he's looking to make that World Cup squad, and he said being called up by England is the best feeling he's ever had. That's what you dream about as a player. That's the pinnacle for me. So yeah, looking forward to seeing Morgan Rogers pull an England shirt on again.
Yeah, 100%. I even think there was an argument that kind of appears last season. Foden had an off season. Palmer's second half of the season really struggled.
Start him.
But on a serious note, when you're talking about kind of, it's always the comparison between Foden, Bellingham and Palmer. I think Saka at the time might have been injured for Arsenal. Morgan Rogers was the one that was in really good form. Villa were progressing in the Champions League, doing really well, and he was sort of the real linchpin in that Villa team. And I think it's pretty unlikely a year out that he's going to start giving all the great players we've got. But if he can have a season like he did last season, it'll certainly be asking the question of Thomas Tuchel. The Nicholas Jackson link to Villa is really interesting because I'm not Jackson's biggest fan. I find him a frustrating player that is really inconsistent in front of goal. He's quite rash. It feels like he needs sort of 3 or 4 big chances before scoring a goal. But Unai Emery's the sort of coach where, you look at sort of Rashford, he was kind of off it at Man United.
Yeah.
He went to Aston Villa, kind of found some decent form. I mean, one of Unai Emery's real biggest strengths is kind of man management, bringing the best out of players, coaching players. Yeah, literally. And of course, he worked with him at Villarreal in Spain. Yeah. So, maybe kind of Nicholas Jackson's probably sitting there thinking, if I can get a move to Villa, play in the Champions League, play in Europe still, under Unai Emery, it'd be a pretty decent move for Nicholas Jackson, given the fact that he's pretty much surplus to requirements at Chelsea at the moment.
He's still, 24, 25?
Yeah, he's young. So he's got time to learn and develop.
And we see lots of players come into the Premier League who, they look okay in their first season and then, and then improve. I think there's a player in Nicholas Jackson. He just does seem to take too many chances, doesn't he?
Exactly that. Lots of football on the back pages. Also, Nick, lots of rugby as well.
Yeah, so, I mean, we've got the Women's World Cup starting today. It's England versus USA. England are very much the favourites. USA very strong as well with that Ilona Maher, who's playing at Bristol, sort of the face of women's rugby. But there's a good piece by Andy Bull on the back of the Guardian talking about how much the tournament has come on since the first one in 1991. Writing here, the first Women's World Cup then ran on grit, goodwill, vodka and raffle tickets. The men who were in charge of it refused to sanction the competition and also made legal threats against the organisers. The first final had 3,000 people at Cardiff Arms Park, and this year's opening match is going to be in front of 82,000 at a packed Twickenham. And also organisers of that tournament and certainly the England administration are talking about having a Lionesses moment with this tournament. England are the favourites. England are playing at home. And they want to try and get more girls into playing rugby and try and have the sort of the kickstart grassroots women's rugby here that the Lionesses managed with the Euros, a few years ago. Scotland versus Wales as well tomorrow, Saturday afternoon. So the other home nations competing against each other in the first group game.
Yeah, well, Nick, it's a really, really good piece on the back of the Guardian. Yeah, fingers crossed England can go well over the next few weeks. So it starts this evening. It's a 7:30 game start against the United States, as you said, in the Women's World Cup, Pool A. We wish them the best of luck. Nick, thank you very much.
Cheers,
Back
Sam.
shortly for some front pages coming up to 5:30 on the Early Sports Breakfast. With you until 6. Then it's Alan Brazil and Gabby Bunlahor with talkSPORT Breakfast. Coming up next, we'll hear from Daniel Dubois. He was here at talkSPORT in the studio talking about the loss to Alexander Usyk and sacking his trainer. That's next on talkSPORT.
Premier League's profit and sustainability rules are sold to us as financial fair play, a way to keep clubs from going bust. But there are those who feel it's starting to look a lot like a system that protects the big boys and keeps the rest in their lane. Here's how it works and why people feel that way. So clubs can only lose £105 million over 3 years, which sounds fair, but here's the kicker. Your limit includes how much you earn. So if you're one of the traditional top 6, you've got massive global revenue streams and you can spend way more while still technically following the rules. Meanwhile, ambitious clubs like Newcastle, Villa or Forest, well, they're bringing a knife to a gunfight. Newcastle might be backed by Saudi billions, but they just can't splurge the cash. Their commercial income isn't there yet. Last season, they won their first domestic trophy since 1955 and qualified for the Champions League, which you'd think would be a great springboard for them to go on and start building a team to challenge at the very top. But because of PSR restraints, they couldn't break their wage structure for a new Alexander Isak contract, and look what happened there. So what's the solution? Well, either loosen the reins so ambitious clubs can spend within their means, or cap spending based on something other than revenue. Otherwise, we're just watching the same 6 teams swapping silverware most seasons, and that, folks, ain't what the Premier League was built on.
A very good morning, I'm Sam Ellard. You're listening to the Early Sports Breakfast with Agent Flux. The cover you need at a price you'll love with Watt Van's Insurer of the Year 2021. Find out more at agentflux.co.uk. Don't forget you can watch this show and all talkSPORT shows on your smart TV and on talkSPORT's YouTube channel as Alan and Gabby from 6 o'clock this morning with The Breakfast Show. But your top sports stories this Friday morning. Crystal Palace manager Oliver Glasner says he doesn't expect Eberechi Eze to play for the club again. He's finalised that move to Arsenal and missed Palace 1-0 win over Fredrikstad in the Conference League last night because he didn't feel well. Glasner says he's preparing for life without Eze.
I'm responsible for Crystal Palace and I think he won't play for us again, so I have to prepare the team for Nottingham and for the second leg against Fredrikstad. And I'm playing without Eberechi.
Some other sporting news. Leeds ran in 4 tries as they stunned table toppers Hull KR 28-6 in last night's Super League game. It moves them 6 points off the summit and level with second place Wigan. World Golf #1 Scotty Scheffler is just 2 shots off the pace after the first round of the season-ending Tour Championship. He's on 7 under par behind fellow American Russell Henley. We've got live coverage of the Tour Championship from Atlanta on talkSPORT 2 from 10 p.m. And England begin their quest to become world champions when they take on the United States in the opening match of the Women's Rugby World Cup. The host nation are on a 27-game winning run going into tonight's game at the Sunderland Stadium of Light. England legend Maggie Alfonsi exclusively gave talkSPORT's Early Breakfast the lowdown on England's chances.
They're shaping up pretty well and obviously won the Six Nations most recently again. So this team is looking very strong. Look, they're still not probably perfect yet. They've just had the last warm-up game against France. They're not necessarily perfect, but you wouldn't expect any team to be perfect going into a tournament. That's how you've got to peak at the right time, and usually that's the latter end of the tournament. But they are looking strong. They've got a strong forward pack. They, in their last warm-up game, they scored quite a few tries through the driving maul. Exciting players, the likes of Alex Matthews, Zoe Oldcroft, captain, Maud Muir, who was a solid, powerful, dynamic prop that she is. There's loads of players to choose from. And then obviously their back line. Didn't get necessarily a chance to see much of them during the final warm-up game, but your Meg Jones, who is on form at the moment, and I'm very much looking forward to England's backline really unleashing, I guess, during the tournament, like some Kildun Player of the Year at the moment, and then you've got Abidal as well. So there's so much talent there.
Hugo Monnier will also be on the breakfast show this morning, looking ahead to that game in the Women's World Cup. Pool A, England-USA at the Stadium of Light, the first game of the Rugby World Cup. And there will be regular updates, of course, throughout the evening on talkSPORT. Now, big guest on talkSPORT yesterday. Daniel Dubois was on with White and Jordan following a second defeat to Alexander Usyk last month. Lots to get through here. Let's start with that gathering, or was it a party that Dubois' dad held at his house before the fight that some people say upset his preparations? But Daniel told the guys he wasn't against it.
No, it worked the first time with AJ and things like that. But I don't even want to talk on that too much. That's not why anything went wrong in the fight. I look to myself and look what I could have done better and things like that. But yeah, it worked the first time with AJ, so it's a whole new beginning for me moving forward now, what I've got to change and get right.
Well, Dubois also confirmed it was his decision to split with his trainer, Don Charles.
Yeah, 100%. Just thinking, looking back, Don's been great for me. We won a world title together, but I'm just thinking about moving forward and how I can improve myself, and yeah, that was my decision.
Well, next then for Daniel Dubois, it is 2 defeats to Alexander Usyk. He says at 27, he needs to now make it count and he'll take on anybody.
All the guys in the heavyweight division, yeah, they're all the guy, especially the one who has the belts. And if the belts fragment or whatever, stuff like that can happen. Whatever way I can become 2-time heavyweight champion. That's where I'm going.
Well, now, Dubois apparently reports that he has a meeting scheduled with promoter Frank Warren next week, and a return to the ring is on the table. Some people think he could even make a return to the ring before the year is out. If you want to listen to that full interview, go on to the talkSPORT Boxing YouTube channel, or you can get more on the talkSPORT website. Now, before we get into the front pages, I'd like to get into this. Now, it's important here on the talkSPORT Early Breakfast that we bring you the best from all shows on talkSPORT, the hard-hitting news, the best guests, but also some of the fun stuff and big debates. Now, can a fish be a pet? The boys in the sports bar discussed that topic last night.
Fish aren't pets.
What?
Can't have it. Even a goldfish, it's not a pet. A gerbil is a pet. A fish is not a pet.
Fish is more of a pet than a gerbil.
No, it's not.
No, it is.
You can't take a fish for a walk. You can't play with a fish. You can't play with a fish.
You can.
You can't, mate.
Can you take a gerbil for a walk?
No, but you can stroke it. You can stroke it.
You can stroke a fish.
Mate, if you can't take it for a walk or stroke it,
you can stroke a fish.
You can stroke, but does it come over to be stroked?
Yeah.
Oh, mate, do me a favour.
I tend to agree with Cundy. I think for something to be a pet, you need to be able to play with it, do something with it, play catch with it, stroke it, take it for a walk, hug it, hold it. You can't do that with a fish. I'll bring in Nick Kellyby. You might as well hit the stab mark.
It's a front page throwdown.
Oh, what a move.
The front page is first on the early sports breakfast.
talkSPORT.
I'm with Cundy.
I think a fish can
I'm with JC.
It can be a pet, right? But whether it's a good pet or not, I think the thing about fish is it's like they live in a different world. It can be maybe to take you out. If you got some koi carp or something. Well, because underwater, isn't it? It's completely different. Different vibe down there.
How do you know?
Well, I can see it.
Well, you've never lived underwater. It might be the exact same vibe as us, just you're wet.
I spent too much time underwater on one holiday once and got an ear infection.
Oh, Nick. Well, everyone gets an ear infection on holiday, don't they? Have you ever had a pet, Nick?
We had a rabbit for a while.
What was a rabbit like?
Arthur. Yeah, pretty good. Kept
What did you do with it?
Kept himself to himself, got him out occasionally, stroked it a bit. So you can stroke the rabbit.
But it sounds like a boring pet, though.
To be honest, rabbit. Yeah, it wasn't.
It's not a rabbit. It doesn't sound like a fun pet.
He was all right.
Like at least with a dog, you can take a dog for a walk, or you can play. You can do something with a dog. You can go out with a dog. Like a rabbit just sits in the hut all day, doesn't it?
I won a goldfish at a fairground once, but it only lasted 2 days.
Oh, Nick, why?
It came in a plastic bag.
Right.
It's probably not right to do that.
I was going to say, yeah, maybe not.
Anyway, are you going to any festivals this
No,
summer?
I've never been to a festival once in my life.
Sorry, what? You've never been to a festival?
And I don't plan on going to a festival
Why?
ever in my life. It's just not for me, Nick. And I know you're probably going to say you should go and experience it to know, and that's fair enough. I just don't think festivals are for me. And when I watch festivals on TV...
But why?
I think to myself, I'd rather be anywhere else rather than there.
Because
I don't like standing up.
Yeah.
I don't like the music.
Yeah, fair.
I imagine going to the toilet must be quite stressful, like to actually get to the toilet.
It
Like
really
I
is.
always think at Glastonbury, if you're on the main stage, how on earth do you actually get to the toilet, or do people just not bother? I don't. For some festivals, you have to. I don't really like sleeping not in my bed. It's just everything about it just is not for me.
I totally understand that. They can be, really positive experiences. I used to go to quite a few, not so many these days, getting a bit old, but festival goers are being offered a cheeky helping hand setting up their tents. Morning erections will help campers at Reading this weekend fight their tent erectile dysfunction. Columbia Sportswear has launched the first of its kind service.
It's not even 6 o'clock yet, mate.
A couple of TikTokers. I'm talking about tents, mate. Publicity
You're turning into Cundy yourself, aren't you?
So Jack and Becky trying to console one deflated camper who apparently can't get it up. So there's helping people to get it up in the morning. I'm talking about their tents.
Oh, but also, can I just say, on a serious note, that's another reason why I don't like festivals. Like, just putting up a tent, it's stressful. I imagine it's expensive. Just that in itself, putting up the tent must be quite stressful.
I mean, you practice at home, don't you?
Have you been to festivals before?
I've been to quite a few. I've been to Reading once.
Are they good?
Yeah, it was. I saw Rage Against the Machine in 30-degree heat. People were passing out left, right and centre. Literally, people were being carried to the back.
Really?
Yeah, it was like 30, 31 degrees. Yeah, it was actually probably too hot. But
might be.
What a show that was. Went to Festival quite a few times. That was good fun.
You strike me as a festival kind of goer.
You've got to just get into it. I found, actually, I know what you mean about you missing home comforts, but I found sort of on day 3, then you settle into it and you start to think, actually,
I don't have to wait 3 days to settle into something.
When you haven't,
I want to just go and enjoy it from minute 1.
When you haven't looked.
Imagine if it took me 3 days to settle into presenting the early sports breakfast show.
Some people might say it too.
Yeah, very good. I was going to say.
I don't mean settle in as in start to enjoy it, but it's like, you realise I haven't looked in a mirror for 3 days. I've just been living outside. I've been, meeting random people, having a great time in a field.
Not for me.
Listen.
What else you got for us, Nick?
When do you start to actually relax on holiday? Do you find you can just switch off from work?
100% as soon as I get there. I think it's so important on holiday. You've got to get, I like social media. I'm all for it. When I go on holiday, I turn off social media, turn off emails, work emails, mute WhatsApp groups. So I'd say as soon as I get to my hotel and I know that hotel exists and it's nice and it's got a pool and I'm in, it's safe, it's clean, I'm relaxed.
You can switch off.
People got to switch off.
Get this right. Stressed Brits do not truly relax on holiday until the 6th day, a survey has revealed. Clinical psychologist Dr. Sophie Mort says no surprise it takes a few days for the holiday high to set in. The run-up to a trip is often frantic, finishing work, packing late, juggling responsibilities. So day 6 apparently is when we properly chill out.
But so I understand that the build-up to it's stressful for the reasons you mentioned, but surely once you've got there and once you're into your apartment, then I'd love to know, what are people stressed about for 6 days? And also, I reckon an average holiday might last a week.
Yeah, I go for 7 days.
People get stressed, don't relax till the 6th day.
Then it's time to go home.
Yeah, I'd love to know when people arrive, what's stressful. Like, I completely get the build-up. Do you know what I mean, Nick?
I think, like Dr. Sophie says here, people are just sort of catching their breath and realising it's finally happening once they get there. And actually, it does take time if you've got a stressful job to kind of just to forget all of that and get into.
Are you good at switching off, Nick?
Yeah, pretty good. I mean, our job is weird because we work when everyone else is off, so sort of the fun stuff is also our job. So there's a bit of a blurring, isn't there, between work?
We can't call it a job, can we, Nick?
Well, it's a silly job, isn't it?
Yeah. Good stuff, Nick. Is that it?
Well, unless you want any more.
Well, you're the producer. Do you have to break? We've got time for one more.
Well, I reckon we got time.
All right, let's do it. It's Friday, isn't it?
All right,
we can't get in trouble on Friday for breaking late, can we?
How about this? Wait. Okay.
Oh, you can't find it.
No, AI cannot be stopped, says the boss who invented bots. Apparently, the godfather of AI has warned tech will take over the world. Mr. Hinton, his name is Geoffrey Hinton. Most people are unable to comprehend the idea of things more intelligent than us. They always think, how are we going to use this thing? They don't think about how it's going to use us. I'm fairly confident AI will cause massive...
I'm going to be honest with you, I'm disappointed. I thought for a Friday morning, I thought we were going to finish the front pages with a bit more fun than that. Nick Ellard, thank you, top man as always. Early Sports Breakfast with you until 6, building up to breakfast at 6 with Alan Brazil and Gabby Agbola. upon Lahore. This is the talkSPORT Goal Show. It's the show for the fans. It's done by the fans.
Yes! Oh my God! Yes! Yes! Yes!
He is an unlocker of defences.
If you've got a problem or something to say,
You don't have the right to say anything about something. I do.
This nonsense kills the game. Hey, very good morning. This is the Early Sports Breakfast on talkSPORT with Adrian Flux. Sam Ellard with you until 6 o'clock this morning. Then it's the Breakfast Show with Big Al and Gabby upon Lahore. Now that let's build up to Friday night football in the Premier League. We've got the live commentary here on talkSPORT this evening. It's the East End Boys and the West End Blues.
Welcome to a big London derby of East versus West.
Header by Bowen! Oh, what a goal! Squares it back to Palmer!
Chelsea, with the amount that they spent, that in itself brings obviously pressure on itself.
Finished at the Stadium LA, Sunderland 3, West Ham 0.
It's a mess, West Ham. We don't actually know what Graham Potter is yet.
Potter, for me, he's got a lot of questions to answer.
West Ham is not a club that panics about its managers. We tend to stick with them and see it through.
Chelsea home, Forest away, Spurs at home, Palace at home, Everton away, Arsenal away. As a West Ham fan, you're looking at that this morning, how many points they're going to get?
Chelsea 0, Crystal Palace 0, no goals.
Are we seriously talking about a team that's just won the World Club Championship here, needing to spend to win the league? You know, I don't think so.
João Pedro with a great opportunity. Oh, what a dream first half. This is turning into for Chelsea.
I think there can be challenges this year.
Friday Night Football returns to the talkSPORT network.
West Ham Chelsea Premier League talkSPORT exclusive. Commentary from Jim Proudfoot and the former Liverpool midfielder Danny Murphy. It is an 8 o'clock kickoff. There's no Nicholas Jackson or Christopher Nkunku for Chelsea tonight. Left out as the club look to offload them. Graham Potter already feels like he's under big pressure, losing their opening game of the season 3-0 away at Sunderland. But he's mainly under pressure, isn't he, for how they finished last season, West Ham? Not particularly well. Chelsea have 32 wins against West Ham in the Premier League. The only team they've beaten more often is Spurs. Big game this evening. The second weekend of the Premier League starts live on talkSPORT tonight. It's an 8 o'clock kickoff. West Ham versus Chelsea. Now it's time for this. The NFL returns to Wembley in October as the Los Angeles Rams take on the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we have a huge competition to win VIP tickets. That's right, we're giving you the chance to win 6 seats in a private box at Wembley Stadium with full hospitality plus $5,000 spending money. Here's how to enter.
18 plus, UK excluding Northern Ireland. For a chance to win, text the word cash to 83338 and you're in the draw. Text costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message. You must have the bill payer's permission or enter for free by calling 0330 880 3338. All entries must be received by 25th August at 11 p.m. This is a talkSPORT limited promotion run on talkSPORT, Talk and Virgin Radio UK stations. See talksport.com for terms and conditions.
We wish you the best of luck. 5:54. Time now for the latest in the world of transfers. Nottingham Forest have completed the signing of Douglas Luiz. The Brazilian midfielder was joined from Juventus on a season-long loan with an obligation to buy next summer. We understand Forest will pay £25 million as part of that deal at the end of the campaign. We're told Wolves have ruled out selling Jürgen Strand-Larsen. Newcastle have an interest in the Wolves striker who scored 14 Premier League goals last season. And we're hearing Al Hilal are interested in signing Aston Villa's Amadou Onana. The Saudi Pro League side have added the Belgium to their list of midfield targets. However, a deal for Onana is expected to prove difficult right now. Meanwhile, Brighton boss Fabian Hürzeler, he's admitted Julio Enciso, he's probably going to leave this summer.
There are several reasons, but I wouldn't say that it didn't work. So some players like perform better in some environments. Some players struggle with some cultural things. But overall, I wouldn't say that it was a bad time if he would leave. So I think he's still a very young player with big potential. And if big clubs are interested in him, I wouldn't say that he didn't play it well or didn't had a good time here in Brighton. So you can see that there's a big interest in him because he has big potential, because he showed great stuff for us. So overall, there are some things that for sure could be better regarding the environment, regarding the culture things. But I think that it wasn't a bad period so far.
Yeah, Chelsea owners Blueco will sign in Cisco and they're aiming to Strasbourg. They see him as a long-term option. Now, Danny Kelly and Andy Jacobs back today from 1. And Danny Kelly has been in good form, hasn't he, this week? And Danny didn't mince his words yesterday when reacting to Spurs' latest transfer disaster. Of course, losing out on Eze to North London rivals Arsenal. Here's Danny.
First of all, no, as an Arsenal fan, he can do what he likes. Arsenal are entitled to hijack whatever deals they like. But for the Spurs hierarchy, for the second time in 8 weeks, to make a complete dog's dinner. No, I'm just checking with Fido. No, he wouldn't eat that. It's too horrible. He's not having that. A complete dog's dinner of a public transfer and doing it in the full glare of publicity as well is unforgivable in many ways. And I'm going to say this about it, Charlie. The propaganda that comes out of the club is that Daniel Levy is this great negotiator. Sorry, Simon Jordan. We're mates, Simon and I, but I don't agree with him. He's a terrible negotiator because a negotiation is something that's successful if everybody gets what they want at the end of it, or at least some variant of what they want. Spurs are not getting these big transfers across the line. The 9th richest club in the world, I'm trying to think, I don't really count Solanke because he was on the verge of. They haven't signed a current England player since Trippier.
Yeah, well said, Danny Kelly. I think speaking of mind, they have lots of Spurs fans. Danny's back with Andy Jacobs from 1 today. Lots of guests coming up on Breakfast with Alan and Gabby this morning. Here's what's coming up. The former Spurs striker Mido is going to be in the studio for half an hour. Sure, I'll have a lot to say on the transfer situation going on at Spurs. So too Harry Redknapp. He also joins the show. Stuart Pearce will look ahead to Forest at Palace and also talk all things West Ham and Man City as well. Rupert Ding Dong Bell was here on day 3 of the Evil Festival in York. Ugo Monnier will talk the Women's Rugby World Cup getting underway today. And Sam Matterface will look ahead to the weekend's Premier League action. So approaching 6 o'clock, let's now take a look at what's made this morning's back pages. Eberechi Eze dominating once again. Eze's Arsenal debut on hold, Telegraph Sport back page. Eberechi Eze will complete a £60 million move to Arsenal in the next 24 hours after being denied an emotional farewell at Palace last night. He's scheduled to undergo a medical with Arsenal today ahead of his move, but will not be registered in time for the home game against Leeds tomorrow. What else have we got for you? Back at the Times, not so Eze for Palace. Glasner frustrated as Arsenal bound star pulls out a squad. Then side Labour to European victory. The ends is back with the Sun. Chelsea manager Enzo Maresca would rather risk a striker crisis than keep Jackson and Nkunku. So yeah, most of the back pages today dominated with a lot of transfers and Eberechi Eze. You've been listening to the early sports breakfast on talkSPORT with our very good friend Adrian Flux, insurance for the individual. Find out more at adrianflux.co.uk. Alan Brazil and Gabby Bonlahor are next with talkSPORT Breakfast.